You know those seasons where literally everything just seems to fall apart? Like you look around at the absolute chaos of your life and you seriously start to wonder if God just completely forgot your address? Well, if you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are definitely not alone. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to navigate those totally unexpected, rip the rug out from under you life turns. The moments when the blueprint you have for your life gets ripped up into a million pieces.
And we're going to find our map for this journey in a truly incredible historical account. We're essentially extracting a masterclass in resilience, faith, and strategy from the life of Joseph. Now, if you know the story, you already know it is not just some nice, neat little fairy tale. It is a grueling, totally unpredictable journey. We're talking about going from a highly favored son to a slave to a prisoner, all the way to becoming a top Egyptian official. And we're going to pull out 6 life-changing lessons from this remarkable evolution to help you handle your own unexpected turns.
Okay, let's dive right into this timeline. To really understand how his character evolved, we have to follow his physical locations chronologically. Starting at day 1 in the pit, pushing through a grueling decade of slavery, enduring years of unjust imprisonment, and finally arriving at year 14 and beyond, the palace. The pit of unexpected turns. So let's start right at the beginning of the downward spiral. Joseph's 5-year plan obviously did not include being thrown into a literal pit by his own jealous brothers. Think about it. One minute, he is the favored son with these massive dreams of greatness, and suddenly, he's at the bottom of a dark hole, betrayed by his own flesh and blood. Which brings us to our very first major takeaway. Adaptability isn't optional, it's absolutely essential. Joseph's life was derailed in the most devastating way possible, yet at every single turn, he adapted. You see, adaptability isn't just some nice personality trait to slap on a resume. It is a vital spiritual discipline. When we finally surrender our rigid plans and just remain flexible to the reality of our circumstances, we actually clear the way for some truly amazing work to happen. And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates that exact point. Genesis 39 tells us, "The Lord was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. Everything he did successful." Just pause and think about that for a second. The guy is a slave? He has just suffered a massive life-altering demotion. But he didn't just survive it, he thrived in it because of his radical adaptability and his unshakable faith. He bloomed exactly where he was violently planted. Potiphar's house of integrity. Moving the timeline forward, Joseph's character now faces a totally different kind of test, the kind that happens when absolutely no one is watching. So we see this stark, really fascinating contrast between his external reality and his internal action. Outwardly, his circumstances incredibly bleak. He's a slave, and pretty soon he's going to be a falsely accused one at that. But inwardly, he is choosing a massive internal promotion by building deep, unshakable moral character.
Which brings us to this crucial point. Integrity isn't what you do, it's who you are. Integrity isn't just about following the rules when the boss is looking over your shoulder. It's about choosing to do the right thing even when it costs you dearly in the short term, and especially when there is zero promise of an immediate reward.
So when his boss's wife, Potiphar's wife, repeatedly pressures him to sleep with her, Joseph's response is just unwavering. He says, "How then can I do this immense evil, and how can I sin against God?" I mean, what a bold, countercultural choice. In our modern world of, hey, if it feels good, do it, Joseph's commitment really stands out. Doing the wrong thing might have brought him a temporary advantage or at least some temporary comfort, but he knew that true integrity always pays dividends over time. Finding purpose in prison. And here is the brutal irony of the whole situation. Doing the exact right thing lands Joseph straight in a dungeon. It's basically the ultimate networking challenge. Yet it's right here in the dark that we find this profound truth. Your relationships matter way more than you think. Now, Joseph wasn't perfect. Let's not forget, back in the day, he was openly bragging about his dreams of ruling over his already jealous brothers. But he learned that genuine connection is vital. Even in his absolute darkest hour, locked away in a cell, Joseph invested in people. He actually paid attention to the fellow prisoners around him. He notices 2 of Pharaoh's former officials looking distressed one day, and he asks them, "Why do you look so gloomy today?" Think about that. He is sitting in prison completely unjustly, but he's taking the time to check on someone else's mental state. Let me ask you, when was the last time you honestly checked in on someone and actually stopped to listen to their answer? In our hyper-connected but totally relationship-starved world, we forget this. Sometimes, the key to your own breakthrough is actually hiding in someone else's story. That one simple question changed the entire trajectory of Joseph's life.
While he was in that prison, he also mastered another major truth. Crisis reveals your true leadership. You see, Joseph was developing his leadership muscles through years of faithful, very quiet service in the small, daily things behind bars. He didn't just magically become a great leader the moment he stepped into the palace. He became a great leader by managing the daily, gritty crises of prison life.
This perfectly connects to this idea we see in Colossians. Whatever you do, do it from the heart as something done for the Lord and not for people. And this applies directly to you and me. You might not be managing a literal national crisis right now, but you are leading somewhere, in your home, your workplace, your local community. How you handle the minor, boring, everyday tasks, that's exactly what prepares you for the much bigger assignments you're going to face later.
Palace strategy and leadership. Okay, so those relationships he built in prison finally pay off, and Joseph is pulled right out of the dungeon to face a looming national crisis.
And here he completely demonstrates that strategic thinking is a godly skill. We really need to dispel this myth that spiritual people can't or shouldn't be highly strategic. Joseph proves that prayer and planning are actually partners, not enemies. When he interprets Pharaoh's dream, he doesn't just say, "Hey man, a famine is coming. Good luck. I'll pray for you." No way. He delivers a highly actionable, brilliant plan.
Check out this crisis management strategy. It involved strategic resource management during 7 years of plenty, building these massive storage facilities, and implementing strict administrative oversight to survive the following 7 years of famine. God gives us the wisdom to solve massive problems and serve others. Joseph's strategic mind, which was honed through years of adapting in the pit, the slave house, and the prison, literally saved nations.
The freedom of forgiveness. And now we reach the climax of the story. The famine pushes the very brothers who plotted his murder and sold him into slavery right to his doorstep in Egypt, literally begging for food.
He has all the power. He could have completely crushed them, but instead, we learn that forgiveness frees you first. Joseph understood something profoundly difficult. Forgiveness is not the same as approving of someone's wrong actions. Not at all. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from being controlled by those actions. When you forgive, you aren't saying what happened doesn't matter. You're saying you trust a higher purpose to work through that pain. So when he finally reveals his identity, his brothers are absolutely terrified. But Joseph says this, "Now don't be grieved or angry with yourselves for selling me here, because God sent me ahead of you to preserve life." Breathtaking, right? It highlights the greatest miracle of the entire story. God took something that was meant for absolute destruction and transformed it into something completely redemptive. Tracing this internal evolution chronologically, from the pit all the way to the palace, Joseph was defined by these key actions. He surrendered his own plans. He chose integrity over convenience. He valued human connection even in his absolute darkest moments. And ultimately, he forgave the ultimate betrayal. I want to remind you of something so crucial right now. Your current circumstances do not define your future. They merely prepare you for it. The pit is never the end of the story.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. The source text leaves us with an incredibly powerful reminder that God was with Joseph through every bewildering twist, and He is with you too. Your current pit might actually be the exact path to your future palace. So I want to leave you with this question to really reflect on. What pit are you in today? And more importantly, how might it be shaping you for your ultimate purpose?
You have brought this on yourself.